Again, welcome to ETV's American Summit. We are delighted that you're all here this afternoon, and we welcome each of you. ETV is really spearheading this effort to bring our community together, to marshal the many diverse communities that we have throughout this state to help combat the dropout crisis. Many of us were truly stunned when we learned of the national statistics that show the staggering rate of high school dropouts. Education Week reported 1.2 million students dropping out of school each year. That's more than 6,000 students each day. And then this year, NPR reported that dropouts are not eligible for 90% of the jobs in our economy, and a student drops out of high school every 26 seconds in the United States. It's just a staggering statistic. And of course, the dropout crisis is not confined to the larger urban areas like California or New York or Chicago. It's truly a pandemic that threatens the future of our children, our families, and our nation's very economic growth and development. And South Carolina is seeing improvement, but there is much more to be done. ETV is one of 41 communities across the country that is convening educators, parents, students, community organizations, and youth groups. As you saw, this group is being convened and organized by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I met with so many managers last week when I was in Washington who are working in their respective communities to try to help educators, teachers, and everyone associated with this issue to help improve those standards. This afternoon, you're going to hear about individual success stories and school and community-based programs throughout the state. And then following this event, there's a core group of people, including students and community partners, who are going to convene the South Carolina Youth Summit on dropout prevention. Key to the success of this effort is the creativity and the leadership of young people and the support of caring adults. And it's wonderful to see some young people in this audience because you truly are our inspiration and will help us resolve this crisis. Today is just a beginning. It's just the start, and many partners like you have been working with this and coming up with creative solutions, and we really want to hear those solutions so that we can be a convener for others in the statewide community. The results of this summit will be summarized on our website, the American Graduate site. We'll be adding other partner resources as we go forward. This conference is being streamed on scetv.org/American Graduate, and it will be archived for future use, so you can watch it there. You can visit us at facebook.com/ETV American Graduate. On your brochure, there's some information right there about that, and we encourage you to make this a place to add your comments, add your voices, because that's how we're really going to come together as a community. You know, South Carolina Educational Television has really placed an emphasis on education for the 50-plus years that we have been serving schools and teachers and administrators in South Carolina. I always say the E in ETV is education, and we place a very high priority on this work. And through the use, we are very blessed to have television and radio and web and all of these media platforms reach the entire state. So we can connect citizens, we can celebrate our culture, our environment, and we can really instill the joy of learning, and that's really what we are all about. We reach every community, every district in the state, and through the use of technology, we provide equity and access to all. We have the opportunity to work with you, the partners, as well as others, to provide excellent resources to teachers, to students, to families and communities. We welcome your partnership, and we look forward to the progress that we can make together. The South Carolina State Department of Education and school districts throughout the state are committed to reducing dropout rates. One of the first priorities that South Carolina Superintendent of Education, Dr. Mick Zais, identified was addressing the on-time graduation rate and achievement levels. On January 12th, Dr. Zais became the 17th Superintendent of Education in the state of South Carolina. He grew up in a military family, and prior to becoming Superintendent of Education, Dr. Zais served as president of Newberry College for 10 years. He's a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, served 31 years on active duty in the United States Army, and then retired as Brigadier General. We are very fortunate that Dr. Zais is with us here this afternoon, and we're going to hear about his vision for education in South Carolina. Thank you, and welcome, Dr. Zais.
Thank you for being here today and for your interest in the future of our state and in our children. Today I want to talk about 3 related reasons why I believe our high school dropout rate is as high as it is. One of the things we know is that the ability to read is fundamental to success in education, and that in grades kindergarten through 3, students learn to read, and in grades 4 through 12, they read to learn. And if you enter 4th grade reading below grade level, you simply cannot understand the science text, the math assignment, or your social studies homework. Sadly, in South Carolina, 38% of our 4th grade students are functionally illiterate, and 72% read below grade level. Should it be a surprise then that that 38% corresponds highly with those who 5, 6, or 7 years later will drop out of high school? The fact is, every year they fall farther and farther behind. Until we teach all our children to read on grade level by 4th grade, we will continue to confront this problem. A related reason that we have a high dropout rate pertains to the following. One of the things that as parents and as educators we all know is that while every child is special, every child is different. They differ in ability, in motivation, the rates at which they mature, their interests, their skill sets, their personality, and their home environment. Despite these enormous individual differences, we have a traditional school system that puts every child in the same classroom, expects them to learn the same material on the same schedule. This one-size-fits-all, factory-like, assembly line model of education ignores individual differences and focuses on seat time rather than mastery. It's a system based on mass production and standardization rather than on personalization and customization. It's a teacher-centered model rather than a student-centered model. It focuses on inputs, what's taught, how long it's taught, how it's taught, rather than outputs, what a student knows and can do. And while it works for most students, for far too many students, it produces frustration and failure. And we know that this one-size-fits-all model can be significantly improved because technology is delivering the ability for us to customize education so that every student can learn in the style and at the pace that is most effective for that student. Because students are different and because they enter school with so many different abilities and aspirations and backgrounds, we need to provide parents and students more than one model. And I believe that parents should be able to choose from a variety of educational environments that fit the needs of their child. These include not only traditional schools, but public charter schools, virtual or cyber online schools, single gender programs, year-round programs, Montessori schools, homeschooling, public magnet schools such as military magnet or science and math-focused curriculums, or arts-infused schools, alternative schools for students who have discipline problems, career academies and career and technology centers, and for some private schools. Not only do we need to provide options and alternatives in the kinds of schools that we have for our students, we need to provide options in the high school curriculum. Grades 1 through 8 we provide the fundamentals. In grades 9 through 12, we should be focusing on preparing our students for economic independence. Inappropriately, in my belief, the focus of our high schools is preparing students for college rather than economic independence. We need more flexibility so that students and parents can choose a curriculum in high school that's compatible with their ability or aspirations and their needs. Examples might be, rather than British literature, we would offer business writing as an option. Or for another language art, public speaking might be an option. Consumer math or business and personal finance math might be an option rather than Algebra 2, where students learn about compound interest and taxes and IRAs and individual retirement accounts and 401ks and insurance. And I challenge any of you to do the math of computing your mortgage payment. That is rigorous math, but we don't offer that as an option. And who decided that Algebra 2 was more important than statistics? Having studied both, I never use Algebra 2, but I can assure you that I use statistics every day. Fact is, given the challenges we face and the high dropout rates of our students, our education system doesn't need to be reformed. It needs to be transformed. And the key to this transformation is not standardization, rather customization and personalization. To build achievement of every student on discovering the individual talents of that child and to put students in an environment where they can naturally discover their own true passions. Thank you again for your participation in this important forum and for your willingness to tackle the problem of our high school dropouts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zais. That was terrific. And really, the whole notion of economic independence, I wholeheartedly support. I worked for a program called Nightly Business Report for many, many years. And one of the elements that we talked about was financial literacy and skills that young people need to cope, and those things are very important, and computing your mortgage is absolutely essential in this day and age. So I think all of these kinds of ideas are rich for us to discuss today through the panel, ways we can engage young people, keep them interested so they want to stay in school, and look for the very best in improving that graduation rate. So it is my great pleasure now to introduce you to P.A. Bennett, who is ETV's Director of Minority Programming, and she is also the producer and host of Connections. You have seen her many times. This is a weekly half-hour program that goes not only to the state of South Carolina, but parts of Georgia and North Carolina. And P.A. is going to take you through and moderate today's discussion. Thank you again for being here.